Okay, so here today we have our lovely model Delta again. And yesterday she was doing so good. I was going to record the very first ride, but we'll record the second one. And I can't even call yesterday a ride. Kind of saddled her up, obviously, and she was doing all right. So I figured, well, let's get on. So I had Roger in the middle just in case. Although I really would have doubted if, in fact, exactly what I thought would happen is what happened. She kind of said, I don't want to go anywhere. What's the purpose of that? So Roger ended up giving us a little pony ride and just kind of helping her understand that she could move around. And when I kind of moved my legs a little bit, that kind of meant, all right, let's get active. When Auntie Val on my back gets a little active, let's see if we can get active. And just trying to eat my saddle pad here. So it was only a couple minutes, a couple directions, and that was it. So today I'm going to put a little bit more on her, not a whole lot. She had a, I don't know, I'm sure there's a technical term, but a double tooth. You know, the baby cap was still hanging off and then the other tooth was hanging up. So, you know, I pulled that little cap off to make sure that that other one could come in. And so her mouth is really pretty good, but I'm going to hang off on putting a bit in for another couple days. She's eating okay and everything else, but I just want to make sure that she's doing all right on that. Gotta get that over my phone. So, the hardest part was saddling her. She wants to eat everything that is on her. My stirrups, whatever else. She's fine with the saddle. She could care less. She just wants to eat it. So, just gonna saddle her up here. She's been doing really nice with all of this. She's still a little even small for my equipment here, but that's all right. We're getting there. And just like always, like you see in all my things, I futz around a lot more than I need to after the first saddling, because I want to make sure she's honky-dory with everything that's going on here. Put that up one more. And I want her to stand here patiently, not tied. Yes, I still have her over my arm. The halter line is still over my arm in case something does go wrong. I can help her through it, but I'm not going to tie her to saddle her. Eventually, I should make it that she doesn't care about it at all, and she doesn't. But if she can tie or not tie and saddle calmly and coolly, then you can tie her and saddle her if for some reason you need to. So anyway, I just straightened out her legs there because when I put this cinch on, I want to make sure that it doesn't pinch her legs. So if I have her legs straighter, I have a better chance of it not happening. A lot of horses will stand with one leg back or something. And then, excuse me, honey bun. Let me look over here. She grabs my stirrup and starts playing with it over there. But anyway, you want to try and keep their legs straight while you're cinching them. And life just kind of goes a little better. Brass collar on. Get this up here. Everything's so big on her, but that's okay. She's growing like a weed, I told her mom yesterday. Said I wasn't afraid to get on her until I saw her. My phone's going crazy here. Because her back end is getting so much higher, I was afraid I was going to fall right off the front of her. Put that up there nice and good there. Tighten it up. Now normally I'll let this hang down on a lot of horses, but she's so little that even up pretty high, I don't want her to step on that and ruin my latigo, so I picked that up and put it in there. But a lot of times on these youngsters, I'll let that flat so it's hitting their legs and doing stuff like that. That's why I have everything under the sun on this saddle, so somebody can't say, well, is she okay with saddlebags? Is she okay with a lariat hanging on there? Is she okay with strings? Is she okay with a back cinch? If she never uses it again in her life, that's okay. But I'd rather have it that it's there and never used than not there. Somebody puts it on and then now somebody else has a circus on their hands. So I'm just going to let her move around a little bit. Again, she's okay with the saddle. But I want to make sure everything's on there nice and good. Check. Just kind of a round little thing still. Ask her to move off, which is not her favorite thing in the world. She's still a little muddy, and just as I was putting the saddle in here and stuff like that before I turned the camera on, she decided to roll. But everything's drying out pretty nice. I should be able to make her look like a palomino again this weekend. So I'm just going to let her walk off here. Make sure everything's on there nice and tight. Again, this only now she's been sat on before, and I've even sat on her from the rail, just like you've seen me, and I think it's her mom's daughter, so her sister, her human sister, would have, you know, I understand, sat on her and stuff like that, but didn't actually go anywhere. So yesterday was the first time she actually carried me around, and it did take, she wasn't going. I guess I could have whacked her really hard and made her go, but Roger just grabbed a hold of the halter line and just took us for a walk, so that she could understand that she could move while I was up there, but she just felt no need to actually go anywhere. So we're going to see if we can get a little bit movement without anybody helping her. So it may or may not work. So she's okay with everything. Everything's fitting into place there. Except the breast collar's still a little big, but very good. Want me to walk in the mud here. I dumped her a water bucket. So, put this halter back on. Bring her over. Now, she still has a lot of stuff to learn on the ground, and obviously a lot to learn in the saddle. But she's such a good-natured little gal, I can start putting a little bit of time on her in the saddle here. And, you know, get that kind of started while I'm still working on the other ground stuff. If they're not a good-natured kind of horse, or they've been really spoiled, or they're, I hate to say the word bad, because it's usually the person that made them bad. Horses usually aren't bad to start. If they've gotten some really interesting habits going from their people, then I'll do a whole heck of a lot more groundwork. I'll get that groundwork dang near perfect before I get on their back. But in this instance, yeah, she could do something. Her biggest thing is that she kind of likes to pop up in the front. But if I don't restrict her, she won't pop up in the front at all. Let's finish that off there, honey bun. There we go. Good job. So she's still learning even how to go sideways and stuff on the ground. And we had a lot of rain, and she had that little gimp on her leg and things like that. So we didn't do a whole lot of riding there, or work, for a couple weeks. So even though she's been here a while, we didn't do a whole lot for a little bit. So anyway, I'm going to take her a little bit here in the middle. Now, I want to rock her first, and she's still learning this. So I'm going to rock her. I'm going to push her over. I'm going to say, there you go. Get your balance. Because she is kind of little. She's kind of young. I mean, she's 3. They didn't start her as a 1.5-year-old. Let her understand. Balance yourself. So I'm going to put weight in this stirrup, and I want to make sure you're okay. I should take my spurs off. That's all right. Might have a radio. I'm kidding. So I'm going to sit here. She wants to eat my rope. Put my foot in the stirrup. And just exactly the same as I did yesterday. So she's looking at me, at least now. She just moved her legs, so she's going to get a little off balance. I'm going to stand up. Bounce a little bit. Back down. Up. Down. She's figuring out her balance. I'll balance her up again. I want her so that she realizes she doesn't have to move. And it takes a while for these youngsters to understand balance. So I stand straight up in this saddle and I end up over top of her. And I rock her a little bit. Move that down. Go to the other side. Bump on her again a little bit. Life's okay. Foot up in that stirrup. I have mud on my shoes, so hopefully the stirrup doesn't slip out. Bounce a couple times. Up, down, up, down. Life is good. So now I'm going to just put this in my belt for a second, and she opposite the balance again. Help her learn that she needs to prepare when a person goes on. We'll ask her, we'll tell her when we're ready. But I want her to know how to prepare herself to get on. And I'll take as much time as this takes to get it done. I'm not going to get it on and pull her over or anything like that. And if they're really tall, these first couple rides or something, oh my ladder go. I'll actually get on from the rail so that she can feel my balance up there without having to, I mean, I get up and down on the side, but you know, some of these guys that I start are quite tall. So I'm going to hold this, stick this in here, stand up, put my foot in, and hold on. Now I just have this halter line here, and then my hand in my night latch in case she does something stupid. I want to be able to stay out of her way and not necessarily get in her way. So I'm not going to do a whole lot. I'm going to see if I can. That's what she did yesterday. She went backwards actually a couple times before she went forward. And we're going to see if I can get her to kind of follow this feel up here. She's like, oh, you want me to pet you? No. So I'm going to wait on her. There she goes. Not in any hurry. I want her to understand feel. Now there she's not over bending. She's trying to eat my stirrup. So I'm just going to make it uncomfortable for her to put my stirrup in her mouth. And that's backwards. I'm not going to release. My left side is open. My right side is closed. And I want her to follow this feel of her nose off to the left. Thank you very much, honey bun. And do it again. Follow this feel off to the left. And we're walking 3 steps. She's falling. Very good. So these first couple rides for her, because she is kind of gangly, I'm going to kind of help her just kind of find her balance. I'm not going to ask a whole lot of craziness off of her. I just want her to understand how to balance me. There we go. And yes, I have my spurs on, but I'm not going to touch her with them. Just going to move my calves a little bit and ask her to walk off. Move my calves a little bit. Follow that feel. Look to the left. She's scratching. Scratching. Don't fall. No, get that out of your mouth. Thank you. She has the same problem my colt did. Everything is in her mouth. So you're trying to ride, and everything that she can reach on the saddle, and even some things she can't reach, are now in her mouth. There we go. And we're walking 3 steps. Gets contorted. Walk her off to the left. So if I just take my time here, I know there's times where we can, you know, get on and go and just make them take off and stuff like that, and they'll figure it out too. And she's so little, and because she did have that issue back there on that hind end, I want to make sure I don't make it worse. I know I'm only going to the left here because that's where my halter line is right now. Follow that feel. Bump her with my legs. She's a bendy little thing. And forward. When she wants to go, I'm just going to kind of let her walk. This would be more a real first ride. Yesterday, like I said, was a 2-minute pony ride. I don't want her to get too far over there. Bump her nose here a little bit. Bring her back over here and walk off this way. I'm petting her and touching her. She really doesn't have a problem with any of that. Now this is the best she's walked off. I'm just going to kind of let her go. Let her know that I'm okay up here. She's okay. Traipse and mirror. Don't fall, please. Might not look that bad, but she's feels funny when you're up here on these little gangly things. When they turn too far, I'm always afraid they're gonna fall. I've had my colt reach up, and while I was on him, reach up with his hind leg and scratch his ear. That was a little unnerving, but he was already rode at least a couple times at that point, so I was like, alrighty. Guess he had something in his ear and needed to take care of it. Thankfully nothing was there to get in the way, but that was an odd feeling. There we go. I'm just gonna offset her balance and see if she can follow that. And now while she's turning, I'm actually gonna turn. So she's going kind of straight, she's a little off to that side, so I'm gonna follow her body instead of her following my body for now, so that she understands when she does this, my body will do the same thing. So eventually, when my body does that, she'll follow that along just fine. Somebody has to lead first, and she has to figure it out. So as she's going to the left, my left leg is a little back, my right leg's a little forward, and I'm turning that way. Now, yeah, to get her started, I'm going to pick up and kind of help her move off. Tap my feet a little bit here. Nice and big. I'm leading her with my halter line here. There we go. And then as soon as she goes, and then she goes that way a little bit, unless she falls, then I'll stay in the middle. I'm gonna, she's really into eating my leather. So anyway, as she goes, I'm gonna make my body into her body. And eventually her body will be where my body is. So she's relatively going straight. There she's going to the right. Now she's going straight. Now she's going to the left. She's interested. Neighbor over there is taking out her horse, so she's interested in it. That's all right. I'm going to walk off. Follow over here, sweet pea. There we go. And we're turning. It's real odd. She bends so far. Whoops. You ran into my boot. She bends so far that she bends underneath the saddle, so she actually leaves under my saddle in the back when she turns really sharp. So, and it's nothing to worry about. It's what these youngsters do when they're this little. But you know, it's an interesting feeling. You want to make sure that you stay centered. Even though I'm turning when she turns, I still got to stay in the center. And sometimes I might look a little funny while it's happening, because I got to really make sure that I stay centered while she's all contorted underneath and that saddle's going not completely with her, because the saddle's still bigger than she is. There we go. So, and honestly, that's okay for today. I just wanted her to feel a little bit more. I'm going to rock a little bit, and I'm going to step off. It didn't look like much, but I promise you, just doing that little bitty things, letting her kind of feel it, follow that feel, walking around, just taking a couple minutes. In a couple days, she'll be like, we'll be doing all sorts of really cool stuff. So, she's doing all right. I'm proud of where she's at. And yeah, I could have sat here and, you know, chased her around and made her do stuff like that. And some horses you'll do that with, some horses you don't have to. Her, I don't think we have to. I want to keep her just following and listening and feeling and understanding a few things. And understanding that she can't get too hung up on my saddle. So, yes, if I move her feet really hard, she won't be eating my saddle. I want her to explore while she can, before she gets in trouble at it later. Give these first couple just a few minutes. I mean, literally, she hasn't even had 10 minutes on her yet. The next couple days, over this weekend, I'll put a whole lot of time on her, and we'll be doing all sorts of really cool stuff. I just wanted her to understand she could go out, she could go forward, she could explore things. She's very curious. I want her to explore them. I want her to check them out. And then eventually, she won't feel the need to because she'll have already had it all done. So anyway, that's her little progress. And by the next video, you'll see her doing probably a whole lot more stuff. I just wanted to let her just walk and get it done. Oops. So, that's it. I know. She's a good girl. She's very, very curious, which is going to really benefit us, and I don't want to quench that. Nothing like a curious horse to get you through an awful lot of bad situations. Just going to put her up over here so she doesn't eat my saddle until I get it out. She'll try to eat my rope. Good job, kid.